Hello and welcome to another Coffee with Colm, and thanks very much for tuning in. The objective behind this series of Coffees with Colm is whereby I take my business journey to date, as chronicled in my book, Feeding Johnny How to Build a Business Despite the Roadblocks, and then share a snippet out there on a weekly basis over a cup of coffee for about 5 minutes or so, in the hopes that by me sharing my business journey, I can afford you a shortcut where back in the day I myself had none. Our first business failed, and it failed spectacularly, and I'd like to tell you that story if I may. Around the turn of the century, we had a Bewley's Cafe franchise here in Limerick, and for those of you that will remember Bewley's, you'll remember it was famous for its bacon, egg and sausage, great coffee, big mugs of white coffee, real butter, real tea, etc. However, around the turn of the century, the new generation, the millennials, they wanted something different. They wanted wraps and paninis and lattes and cappuccinos, and that was fare that Bewley's wasn't famous for. So around the turn of the century, reasons beyond our control, the market was changing and our business began a slow dip. And that concerned us. The second element in our perfect storm was when foot and mouth disease hit Ireland in 2001. It was quite devastating to the economy because the government told the people in the hinterlands around the cities not to go into the city. And for one of the first times that I can remember, the people actually listened and they didn't come into the cities. And our business, at Bewley's Cafe franchise at the time, was situated right in the heart of Limerick City on Cruises Street. And because the people didn't come into the city, the spend dropped, and effectively our business that had begun a slow decline dropped by about 20% overnight, and that was a big problem for us. But it wasn't catastrophic. The third element, you'll remember this one, was 9/11. Now it's really interesting that an event on the other side of the world can have a direct impact on yours or my business. But 9/11 happened, and that was a tragic event for all of us, for humanity. But when 9/11 happened late in 2001, September 2001, the American tourist trade that would normally come back into Ireland, which would have allowed us to take a bounce back out of the doldrums that we were in, that never happened. The Americans never came back. So our business had been climbing steadily, began a slow decline, dropped 20% when foot and mouth disease hit, and then stayed flat. And that was a big problem for us. We were beginning to burn cash at that stage. The final nail in our coffin, the fourth element in the perfect storm that effectively put us out of business, was what I call in my book the Fecking Celtic Tiger. Now, the Fecking Celtic Tiger, for those of you that will remember it, was a time of lunacy here in Ireland where the paper value of properties just rose and rose and rose and rose like there was no tomorrow, like they'd never come down. And effectively what that did was it allowed our landlord credibly, we argued at the time, but it allowed our landlord credibly argue for a rent review, an upward only rent review, and it went to telephone numbers. Our rent for a coffee shop in Cruises Street in Limerick in 2002 went to a rent of €1,000 per day. €1,000 per day. Not per week, not per month, €1,000 per trading day, selling cups of coffee and bacon, egg and sausage that nobody wanted anymore. And that effectively put us out of business. That was the final nail in our coffin. So just look at that for a moment, the four things, right? We had a slight downturn in business because the millennials wanted different fare, and Bewley's as a brand was, it's a bit like Titanic, it was heading towards the iceberg. Couldn't turn quickly enough to become credible in the new marketplace. It began to offer paninis and lattes, but a little too late. So it was beginning to nosedive. The second element was the foot and mouth disease, which effectively dropped our business by 20% overnight. The third element was 9/11. The Americans never came back. We didn't get the bounce we were hoping for, so our business stayed flat. And when you add all those three together with, at the same time, the Fecking Celtic Tiger driving our rents up, well, it was catastrophic for us, and effectively it put us out of business. And so why am I telling you this story? Well, I'm hoping to alert you to the fact that stuff can happen outside your control that can have a direct impact on you and your ability to produce revenue and your ability to feed your family effectively. So question is, what are you going to do about that? I'm going to recommend a couple of things to you, if I may. Number one, keep doing a great job. Keep believing the best. Number two, prepare for the worst. Ask yourself, what might happen if a perfect storm landed on your doorstep? What impact might it have on your income, on your family circumstances, on your business? And then ask yourself, can you do something in advance to prepare an exit strategy should the worst come to the worst? One of the challenges for us at the time was we had nothing else to look at, nothing else to look forward to. And when that rent review hit in 2002, it was basically game over. It took us 3 more years to actually exit from that cafe. In the meantime, losing money all the time for 3 more years. So it was quite a devastating loss to us. But thankfully we survived. On the upside, and here's an upside if you're going through a storm at this moment in time, perhaps, and this has been the case for us, that perfect storm, though painful as it was, we didn't welcome it. We didn't want to go through it. Wouldn't like anybody to have to go through it. But we did go through it. We got through it. And actually, it led to the development of Carambola, which has been a fantastic success since. And ultimately, to me, sitting here talking to you today. So every cloud has its silver lining. Our perfect storm certainly had some, although it was a painful time for us. So I'm just sharing that out there for you to consider. Ask yourself, keep doing a great job, keep hoping for the best. But at the same time, ask yourself, what's your plan B? What's your exit strategy should your perfect storm hit? And thank you for joining me for this week's Coffee with Colm, and I hope and trust that you got something from it. If you did get something from it and you think somebody else might benefit, please pop the link off to somebody else and let's spread the word that way. I'd very much appreciate that. If you like what you've heard and you want to leave us a comment, go to the bottom of the blog and do so there. I'd love to hear from you. If you've stumbled across it for the first time joining me for a Coffee with Colm, and you've enjoyed it and you'd like more of this type of stuff, please go to the homepage, colmobrienmotivation.com, and leave us your details and we'll pop you off a link like this every week or so. Please then consider and apply what's been shared here today, apply it into your thinking for the next week or so, and use it to inform some of your own decisions over the coming days. And then most importantly, get some good coffee, get some rest, and then come back next week and let's share another coffee together. Let's share another snippet of my journey in the hopes that it adds value to yours. Cheers. I really enjoy my coffee. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.